Executive Committee member for Health, Gregory Ganda, already there are 52 suspected cases of cholera, a number already treated and discharged, while others are still admitted in hospital. He further stated that most of the cases are coming from Nyalenda A and Nyalenda B. Others are in Kisumu East areas and Kisumu Central. The cholera infection in the county has, however, been attributed to the rains being witnessed across due to most of the pit latrines in the slums that end up collapsing or end up overflown, and the various water sources are contaminated. Ganda noted that they have done activations of the emergency operational centers that deal with such emergencies, with a team of experts who meet daily to review cases of admission and interventions being taken. The latest cholera cases in the country were reported in Thika Prison yesterday, where 38 inmates were reported to have contracted the disease. The cases are being reported after the Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nahumicha on February 28th reported that there is an outbreak of cholera in the country and warned Kenyans to maintain hygiene. Mutweri Eliud, KUTV.
We still to matters health, where the second day of the ongoing health workers' strike has had patients in Kisumu, Nyamira and Vihiga counties stranded, a situation that has forced others to seek medical services in private hospitals. The strike comes as the medical practitioners complain of delayed payments, with doctors in Nyamira saying they have not been paid for 3 months now.
As the health workers' strike comes to the second day, patients in Nyamira, Kisumu and Vihiga counties were today left stranded as health workers maintain the stand to continue with the strike. The medics complain of delayed pay for months now. In Nyamira counties, doctors say they have not been paid for 3 months now. The ongoing strike was called for by the KMPDU earlier this month following delayed implementation of the 2017-2021 collective bargaining agreement. Initially, 12 counties had threatened to strike demanding for the delayed payments. On Tuesday, medics in 6 counties, Kisii, Murang'a, Nyeri, Taita Taveta, Laikipia and Embu counties, called off plans to strike after their respective county governments paid their salaries. This comes as the Health CS Susan Nakumincha told Kenyans that the ministry would mediate the dispute between the doctors and the county governments and resolve the matter. Yvonne Kemuma, KUTV.
Now, President William Ruto has called for immediate cessation of hostilities in Sudan, where nearly 270 people have been killed and more than 2,600 others injured in the resulting chaos. Ruto says the escalation of the situation in Sudan could undermine regional and international peace and security. The head of state noted that Kenya is alarmed that a misunderstanding over a single outstanding item in the political framework agreement has degenerated into violent conflict. The fighting witnessed in the last 5 days has led to the loss of hundreds of lives, massive destruction of property, and the displacement of civilians.
There is real danger that the escalation of hostilities in Sudan could implicate external, regional, and international actors and degenerate into a security and humanitarian crisis on a disastrous scale. It is therefore critical for an international coalition of all the actors that have been involved in supporting the restoration of civilian rule in Sudan to act with urgency.
Right, now to some matters politics. Civil society groups have issued their 2 cents on the bipartisan talks. According to the society, the power of the people should be given to the people. The society highlighted its demands to the government and promised to reach out to all civic groups and mobilize them to rise up in case the government will not respond to its demand. Let's get more from our senior English news editor, Ann Odida.
As the conversation on the bipartisan process between the Kenya Kwanza and Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition continues, civil society groups in the country have chipped in, citing issues affecting Kenyans, including Kenyans' quest for sustainable solution to the ongoing food crisis, cost of living and access to public services.
We are in a political standoff, facing yet another round of political contestation, which threatens our democratic and constitutional order. the stalemate has been largely driven by the political class. The people of Kenya, who have been granted the sovereign power under Article 1 of the Constitution, are being excluded and are hardly involved in key decision-making processes that impact on their lives.
According to the society, the government should restructure and expand the proposed bipartisan parliamentary talks to make it an inclusive, independent, and citizen-led dialogue process. On the list of demands, the civil society group wants the government to develop a framework with principles and timelines to address the interests of Kenyans in order to protect him from political capture.
Parliamentary talks be restructured and expanded to make it an all-inclusive, independent, and citizen-led dialogue process to discuss the immediate electoral issues and cost of living crisis, and address a wider discussion on midterm issues to get the country back on track.
This society promises to reach out to all civic groups and other progressive forces to institute an authentic citizen agenda and process in what they say will be a salvation to the country through the collective action of the people.
We shall reach out to all civic groups and other progressive forces to institute an authentic citizen agenda and process for the salvation of our country through the collective action of the people as provided in the Constitution of Kenya.
The Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition party yesterday ditched the planned bipartisan talks with Kenya Kwanza. In a statement on Tuesday, April 18, Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka said that the process needed an extra parliamentary dialogue outside Parliament. Now, with the bipartisan talks expected to commence in Parliament, the civil society groups wants an inclusive participation in the process that includes the involvement of religious leaders, the civil society groups, as well as the people of Kenya in order to address the long-standing issues affecting Kenyans. Arno Dida, Parliament Building, Nairobi.
All right, and Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has today stated that the Azimio coalition is free to go back to the streets, provided no property is destroyed, while handing over 6 fisheries patrol vessels in Lewatoni, Mombasa County. The second-in-command also commended Mombasa residents for not joining the protests and instead focusing on developments. Ruth Wanjiru reports.
Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has today responded to Azimio's claim of going back to the streets after the Ramadan season. While handing over fishery patrol vessels in Mombasa County, the second-in-command stated that the Azimio is free to go back to the streets as long as no property is destroyed.
Unaona wakisema hataki mazungumzo, wanataka kurudi kwa barabara. Hakuna mahali barabara imeenda, siko. Wakiona hataki mazungumzo, wanataka kurudi kwa barabara, wamekaribishwa. Bora wasiguze mali ya mtu, bora wasiharibu kitu ya Mkenya, lakini hii kupiga kelele kutoka asubuhi mpaka jioni, hiyo waendelee.
In addition, Gachagua noted that the government as well as the Azimio coalition have both given their teams for the bipartisan talks, which he claimed is better than protesting on the streets.
Sisi tumesema na hatuna maneno na mtu yeyote. Tumesema huyu mzee maandamano atume wabunge yake bunge aseme mambo yake. Wabunge wetu wako pale, akina Ichongwa na hawa wamsikize. Ikionekana hapo na kitu wanasema ikubalike. Ikionekana hana aambiwe. Lakini hii ya kwenda kuharibu mali ya watu kwa barabara na kupigia watu kelele na kuchukua sufuria za kina mama, hiyo hawezi kubalika.
The Deputy President also commended Mombasa residents for choosing peace and development instead of choosing chaos and violence, citing that as a well-set example.
Kwa sababu nyinyi mmekuwa bwana. Nyinyi mmekubali ya kwamba uchaguzi uliisha na mmesonga mbele. Mmerudi kwa biashara na mambo ya kuendesha maendeleo yenu na kujijenga kama wananchi. Hata kama yule mzee alipata kura mingi hapa, siku amesema mvae sufuria, muende kwa barabara, mkaharibu mali ya watu, mmwambia aende peke yake, nyinyi mko na kazi ya kufanya.
In relation to unga price drop, Gachagua stated that the government is working hard to ensure that the cost of living reduces. He further noted that the prices are expected to go down as time goes by.
We have progressively, through good thinking and planning, without any subsidy, brought the cost down to 190, to 180, to 170, to 160. As we talk today, on the shelf in many supermarkets offering unga at 159 shillings up to 155. And I can tell you it will continue going down, awaiting the harvest in September.
Gachagua also noted that President Ruto's government still holds the stand of subsidizing production rather than consumption, terming it as more practical.
Because the president, in his wisdom, with proper advice from economists, decided that you cannot subsidize consumption. It's not sustainable, it is foolish, it cannot work. And we agreed, under the guidance of the president, that the way to go is to subsidize production.
With the Azimio coalition threatening to go back to the streets after the Ramadan period, it is still unclear whether the bipartisan talks between the government and the Azimio coalition will succeed. Ruth Wanjiru for KUTV.
Thank you, Ruth Wanjiru, for that report. And remember, you can share with us your feedback on Twitter at KUTV_Kenya and at KEES_Kenya. And we now take a short break. We'll be back in a moment. Stay with us.
Are you an aspiring media practitioner, a graduate, or you just want to advance your skills in television production? Then welcome to Kenyatta University, where education meets innovation. KUTV, the premier university television station in Kenya, is now offering short courses in TV studio, field technical operations, and video editing. Through these courses, you will acquire hands-on skills on camera operations, media production, lighting techniques, audio-visual editing, and sound and visual control, and how to operate key equipment in modern TV control room. Enroll today at KUTV and discover your full potential in cutting-edge TV broadcasting. Graduates of these courses will receive professional certificates. For more information, visit our offices at KUTV Studios or call us on 020-870-4252 or 020-870-4255 or SMS us on 0739-110-544. KUTV, a new experience.
Access to knowledge. Solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more only on Law Matters.
Technology, science, innovation, ICT and research. These are the ingredients upon which the solutions to the 21st century problems are founded. In a world that is rapidly changing, it's all hands on deck to ensure a balance in all fields of life. Women, young and old, are also in the front line, breaking the glass ceiling, becoming thought leaders in the larger tech space. Not forgetting other societies marginalized. And when the tech Avengers come together, we inch closer to a much safer, efficient, and sustainable world. What we view as a norm in today's advanced world was just an idea, and for nostalgic reasons, we trace back to the iconic days to bring you the retro tech. On Technovation Show, we encapsulate all the pillars of the fourth industrial revolution, decoded in a language, all for one for all. Every Monday at 8:30 as we push the mantra, keep learning something new each and every day. Only on KUTV, a new experience.
Welcome back to Primetime News. Now, still on matters politics, Transport Cabinet Secretary Kipchumba Murkomen and his environment counterpart Soipan Tuya appeared before the National Assembly plenary to answer questions on their ministries. According to Murkomen, the government plans to install digital cameras to help in the enforcement of traffic rules, with Soipan highlighting the government's commitment to achieving the target of planting 15 billion trees.
In today's afternoon session in the National Assembly, Minister Soipan Tuya was the first to appear before the National Assembly plenary, where she had to answer questions regarding the ban on maize cultivation in areas close to forests. In her response, Tuya stated that the rate at which maize grows is fast, thus reducing the growth rate of tree seedlings.
The Kenya Forest Service, after careful consideration of the negative impacts on the ban of maize growing in plantation areas, particularly on establishment of commercial forest plantations, approved the re-inclusion of maize amongst the crops that can be grown in pellis areas, while putting in mitigation measures to allow for the negative impacts of intercropping maize with the plantations that caused the ban.
Additionally, Tuya told Parliament that the fencing of Mau Forest is currently at 40%, with plans to complete the remaining 60% on course. Tuya, who was responding to questions on the floor of the House, also informed the MPs that she was aware of encroachment in some parts of the forests.
I'm aware of, I have a report on my desk on the issue of Ngareta Forest in Mau, and it is a matter that is under investigation, and action will follow once we establish the extent of or any attempted encroachment of the Mau Forest. In fact, the Mau Forest is 40% fenced, and it is a priority of government to expedite the fencing of the remaining 60%. And therefore, just like all the other forests in this country, my ministry is keenly watching and taking action to make sure that we are not saying we plant 15 billion trees and other people are moving back to destroy that which we have.
Transport CS Kipchumba Murkomen on his part was required to answer questions regarding the incomplete roads, where he stated that the main reason was lack of funds to pay the contractors.
Mr. Speaker, we decided recently to access the annuity fund to enable us, Mr. Speaker, continue this project. A meeting will take place tomorrow to ask the committee responsible for annuity fund to allow us to access 12 billion that is in the annuity account. This amount will enable us to pay some of the pending bills and hence bring some contractors back on site. And a number of projects will soon resume.
On the issue of increase of road accidents, Murkomen highlighted that the government is planning to install digital cameras to help in the enforcement of traffic rules and regulations.
Limiter vendor must install approved gadgets that will limit speed, record speed data after every 5 seconds, transmit data to both the NTSA and vendor servers, and report violations real time, Mr. Speaker. To ensure all public service vehicles operate with functional speed limiters.
President William Ruto's administration hailed the arraignment of CS as one that will prove the accountability of ministers. Edward Nyamo, KUTV.
The members of the National Assembly and the Senate have today discussed the issue of the increased road accidents in Kenya, asking for a new law to be enacted to control road accidents. The leaders have blamed the National Transport and Safety Authority, NTSA, for what they call proving laxity in its operations, which has caused inexperienced drivers contribute to high rate of unnecessary accidents on Kenyan roads.
Members of the National Assembly, through the National Transport and Safety Authority Amendment Bill, presented in the Parliament to amend the National Transport and Safety Authority Act in order to assign additional functions to the National Transport and Safety Authority, says that motorcycle drivers have contributed to the high rate of road carnage in Kenya.
But what is happening in Kenya? You find the lights are red, still the rider goes on. Then he meets an oncoming vehicle, accident happens.
The leaders say that despite the motorcycle industry contributing greatly to developing the country's economy, it has caused many accidents, which can be avoided if the drivers are properly educated or not to follow the laws on the road, and the relevant organizations that strengthening road safety are involved in the operations.
NTSA should work this in close collaboration with county governments. Because of the sheer numbers of borders, because of their proximity to access county offices, such that the counties will also play a big role in terms of regulating the border sector.
Just like we have driver's license, we should make sure that we have a border license before the border operators are allowed to operate.
Senators also say that road maintenance activities in the country need to be of high quality because roads are used by citizens and vehicles in general. These leaders have proposed strict legal actions to be taken for all drivers found violating laws.
Speaker, and anybody found breaching, like in other countries, Mr. Speaker, like in Dubai, it is difficult to find an accident happening on their roads, Mr. Speaker, because any form of an accident, any form of an injury amounts to withdrawal of licenses, very stiff penalties, Mr. Speaker.
As the members of the bicameral house are expecting to create new laws to control road safety to reduce the increase of road accidents, drivers have been encouraged to follow road safety measures to reduce fatal accidents. James Murekimwenda, KUTV.
And the Cabinet Secretary for Internal Security and National Administration, Kithure Kindiki, has declared Friday 21st a public holiday for Eid al-Fitr celebration. Kindiki has published a notice in the official government gazette. This happens after the deputy of KUTV determined that tomorrow, Thursday, the 20th of April, will be the last day of the holy month of Ramadan. All Kenyans are therefore urged to join the Muslims to celebrate Eid al-Fitr holiday. And the Football Kenya Federation FKF Premier League was on action today with two matches on the card. A lightning-fast counter-attack in the 9th minute led by Lawrence Luvanda ended with Eric Otieno netting the opener to give Tusker a dream start at Ruaraka. The champions doubled their advantage a quarter of an hour later, with Luvanda applying the simplest of finishing touches after some unselfish play from Daniel Sakari. And for 10th time European champions Real Madrid prevailed through to the semi-finals 0 on aggregate. In the other quarter-final match, AC Milan and runaway Serie A leaders SC Napoli played out a 1-1 draw and ensured the defending